The conundrum with Liverpool right now is the weight of expectations. Now, if I was to provide you with a visual stimuli, and I would be dividing it by two and giving you two forms of expectations. And the first one will be the expectations from others. And this is a danger because it is out of your control and they're always going to be ever present, especially as an athlete. And so the expectation of others may be justified, it may be unjustified, it may be realistic or unrealistic. The point is that you can't control it and it's going to be there whether you like it or not. And so that's one form of expectation that's there. And there's expectations that you put on yourself. Now, this is something that you can control and you can work at it. And I'm sure the expectations from every single Liverpool player will be to win the league. Now, that is something that's a great achievement and they're not wrong for having that achievement, but that shouldn't be something that drives them every single week in terms of their performances, because if they have a moment in the game where they haven't scored, that expectation of winning the league is going to cripple them. So what I usually encourage athletes to do is to put it in a mental safe. So you know a safe, if you go to a hotel, you can put your passport, you got put some valuables in a safe. So something hidden, something protected that you can always draw from. Now Liverpool could put their title ambitions in the mental safe. And what's important is to break it down into progressive targets that can be done every week and could even be done in the match or even in a half of a match. Now, I'll give you the perfect example in Leicester winning the Premier League. Now, at the beginning of the season, it was all about survival. They survived last season and they wanted to survive. So what came from Ranieri's mouth was trying to get to 40 points and use pizza as a form of reward. But anyway, so they got to 40 points. And once they got to 40 points, Ranieri then said he wanted to have a target of reaching to the top 10. And so he had that target where they were working towards basically finishing top 10. That was then achievable and they were in the top 4. Then his target was to fight for the Europa League places, which is the top 7. And once they achieved that and got themselves in the top 2 or 3, then it was more about being able to achieve a certain amount of points. I can't remember how many he said. But my point is that there were progressive steps and every single week they had something that we were working towards achieving. And then it never really became about the title, although I can bet you any money once they beat Manchester City away from home, which was in February, March, I'm sure, or maybe even earlier, they started to dream about the Premier League. But it's all about how you can kind of bring yourself back down and bring yourself back into progressive, realistic, and weekly targets that can be set in order to progress and to prevent pressure from or expectations from yourselves and others to cripple you. My message to Liverpool will be to set a number of targets. So maybe set amount of points that you would like to get in a month's time. And then from there, you can set targets that you can have within a game. So maybe it could be an amount of shots that you want to have, because from your history, you can look back at previous matches. When you scored 5 goals or when you scored 3 goals, you had a certain amount. Try and aim for that certain amount of shots within a match, and their quality will then result in goals scored. And that could be one set. It could be setting a target for a particular half of a game. And that will be my message to Liverpool directly in terms of them working and building step by step towards what they really want, which is winning the title.